The Reed Legacy, Book 1. This is a work of fiction. All characters, settings, and events are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. No part of this book may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means, including photocopying, recording, or other electronic or mechanical methods, without the prior written permission of the author, except in the case of brief quotations used in reviews or articles. Prologue. The alley reeked of damp concrete and spilled liquor. Marcus Tate pulled his jacket tighter against the midnight chill as he quickened his pace. He had done a lot of questionable jobs in his 35 years: collections, security muscle, the kind of favor work that got men beaten half to death. But this was different. The men who called themselves the Black Vultures didn't look like gangsters. They wore tailored suits, their boots polished, their voices smooth. But Marcus had seen the crates they moved, the terrified eyes staring from the shadows of transport vans. And he knew. This wasn't muscle for hire anymore. It was people. He had wanted out the moment he understood. Too late. The vultures didn't let people walk away. A shadow fell across the mouth of the alley. "Going somewhere, Marcus?" The voice was smooth, cultured, dangerous. Marcus froze. His pulse thundered in his ears. Just grabbing a drink. You know me." The man stepped forward, face hidden beneath the brim of a fedora. The faint gleam of a ring, obsidian carved into the shape of a bird's claw, caught the streetlight. "You've been asking questions." "Questions men in our circle do not ask." Marcus's throat closed. He wanted to run, but the alley seemed to tighten around him. 2 more shadows slid from the darkness behind him, boxing him in. "I don't know anything," he whispered. "That's the problem," the man said softly. "You know enough." The last thing Marcus saw was the glint of steel under the streetlight. Then the alley went black. The footsteps behind her matched her stride like a taunt. Emma Watkins didn't look back. Looking back made you look like prey. She adjusted the messenger bag on her shoulder, fingers closing around the cold cylinder of pepper spray she'd carried every day for 3 years. Willow Creek's main street slept under a wet October sky, windows dark, the diner's neon at the corner blinking pink-blue like a tired heartbeat. Emma. Her name slid across the pavement, low, intimate, wrong. Her throat tightened. She knew that voice without seeing his face, a cadence that had visited her nightmares ever since hands had tried to pull her into a van and erase her. She pivoted enough to put him in her peripheral, hoodie up, broad shoulders, still as a cat that owns the alley. "Stay away from me," she said, steady. He chuckled. "You don't tell me what to do." "Not anymore. Not anymore." The bruised press of those words made decision easy. She snapped the safety with her thumb and sprayed a hard arc into the night. A hiss, a curse, a flinch, then Emma ran. Boots slapped wet concrete. Breath tore at her chest. She fixed on the diner, the promise of people and light, and pushed harder. The door banged open under her hand. She stumbled in as the bell jingled too cheerfully. She dragged air into her lungs. "He's following me." The waitress, Linda, froze with a coffee pot. The fry cook slammed the deadbolt and slid the metal bar across just as a shoulder hit the glass. The pane shuddered in its frame. Through neon glare, the hooded man lifted his head and dragged 2 fingers across his throat. Emma's back found the counter. She didn't sit. She held the pepper spray like a talisman that might decide to be a weapon again. Linda's voice went hard as she called the sheriff. A trucker in a ball cap stood, putting himself near the door as if he'd always meant to be there. Outside, the man stepped back, hood low, and vanished into the night like ink into water. Silence boomed. Emma's heartbeat felt like a fist in her mouth. Deputies arrived 5 minutes later, bathing the windows in red-blue. Ramos, 50-ish, mustache, the kind of bulk that suggested a long relationship with jam donuts, took point. Carter, young, jaw wired too tight, flanked him. They took down her statement. "Taller than you?" Ramos asked. "Yes," broad hood up, gloves. Recognize him? The voice, she said, and didn't say from the night I almost didn't make it back. You said he's been around before? 3 weeks ago. Emma kept her voice flat. He puts notes under my door. Calls that hang up when I answer. Break-ins? Carter asked. 2 nights ago, my window latch was off and the vent screws were shifted. No damage. Ramos wrote something, then gave her the soft platitude look. We'll increase patrols. Thank you, she said, because what else was there? They insisted on an escort home. She didn't want anyone else to know where she lived, but walking out alone into the neon night felt like volunteering for a headline. She rode in silence while the cruiser's heater warmed her knees. Her building crouched over a seasonal wreath shop, paint peeling in long, tired curls. The mat outside 2B said, "Welcome friends," in loopy embroidery that offended her on principle. Ramos and Carter swept the apartment and pronounced it clear within 2 minutes. Looks good, Ramos said. It didn't. The air felt wrong, colder. The lamp cord lay slack instead of looped around the leg. She always looped it. Her coffee mug sat on the counter with the handle facing left. She always said it right, habit formed since childhood. A sliver of black card peeked under the mug. Emma lifted the cup with careful fingers. Matte black. No letters, just an embossed symbol in the center, a bird's claw, talons extended. The world narrowed until it was card, claw, and memory. She had seen that symbol once, on a ring that flashed when a hand grabbed her arm. She hadn't seen the man's face. She'd remembered the claw. You okay? Ramos asked, oblivious to what was going on. Fine. The lie came out smooth. You'll circle the block? We'll swing by, he said. When the door clicked behind them, Emma took 10 long breaths and slid the card into a sandwich bag without touching it. Her hands shook anyway. She texted, "You up?" to Jenny. Always. Are you home? Yes, don't feel safe. Please come. 10 minutes, bringing the good cinnamon rolls. While she waited, she checked latches, photographed anything that felt off. The lamp cord, a new scuff, the faint peppery cologne in the air that didn't belong to anyone she knew. She wedged a chair under the knob and lined 3 baking sheets along the bedroom window's sill, cheap symbols for intruders. When the knock came, too quick, pause, one more. She exhaled a tremor she hadn't admitted to. Jenny Thornton blew in with October on her cheeks and determination in her step, Tupperware clutched like a sacrament. Strawberry blonde hair under a ridiculous pom-pom beanie, eyes going sharp the second they read Emma's face. You look like you boxed a ghost, Jenny said, setting the container down and pulling Emma into a hard, brief hug. Tell me everything, then sugar. He followed me, Emma said, at the diner. Hoodie. Same voice. The word before lurked behind her teeth with its own teeth. Jenny scanned the room with a cop's thoroughness minus the badge, clocked the bagged card, and went still. What is that? Emma handed it over. Jenny lifted it to the light. The claw flashed briefly, obscenely elegant. The black vultures, Jenny said, voice dropping into a register Emma had only heard twice. Once when Jenny's mother died. Once when they found out about the missing girls in Gray Harbor. Emma's laugh scraped. Get in line! We're calling Jasper, Jenny said. He owes me for the gala I saved with duct tape and threats. I don't want to be a Reed problem, Emma said automatically. Pride was a reflex. Pride looked like strength until it shattered in your hand. You're not a problem. You're my person. Jenny's tone cut off escape routes. You call this help or you call it backup. Either way, I want you breathing next week. Emma didn't argue. Together they strung tiny defenses. A cut broom handle in the sliding window track, bells on the door, cans on a string across the hall. Jenny took first watch. Emma lay down fully dressed with her phone on her chest and slept like someone had thrown a switch, dreams static bright with claws. Morning pried at the blinds. Jenny sat cross-legged on the floor wrapped in a blanket, a mug the size of a small planet in her hands. Emma's phone buzzed. Unknown number. You still look good in gray. She looked down at her hoodie. Jenny read over her shoulder and swore. They're watching! I have class at noon, Emma said, because routine was armor. I'm not canceling. Then we need a plan. Jenny's voice went brisk. I follow in the car. You don't walk alone between doorways. You text me when you leave and when you arrive. And after class, we go to the police station with the card. And then we talk to Jasper, Emma said, before pride could catch up. Good. Jenny squeezed her hand. God, I love it when you let me be right. The black sedan sat half a block from Emma's building, windows tinted to a dare. She pretended not to see it, and mapped it in her head anyway. The community center, refurbished warehouse with beams that looked like they'd hold up, the sky smelled like floor polish and hope. Nora at the front desk waved them through and pointed at the bulletin board. Envelope for you. Didn't open it 'cause my mom raised me right. A white envelope pinned at the corner. Block letters. One word, Emma. Jenny hovered. Emma slid it off the pin and eased it open with 2 fingers. A single glossy photo slid against her palm. Herself, asleep on her side. Hair spilled across the pillow. The curve of her hand under her cheek. At the bottom corner, that tiny embossed claw. They were here last night, Jenny said, voice flat with fury. While we were here. Emma tucked the photo back into its envelope, then into her bag. If she'd learned anything, it was that you carried what might be used against you, close where you could control it. Teaching made her breathe. 8 women in leggings and nerves, stories written on their spines. Emma put them into a strong stance, knees soft, chin tucked, elbows in, and showed them where to aim if the world gave them no choice. She made them shout no until it sounded like a wall. As they broke out of grips and laughed in relief, the static in Emma's chest turned to something she could use. Halfway through, Jenny slipped in at the back with a phone and a sentinel's gaze. The wired glass window in the door darkened for a breath, someone outside or a trick of shadow. Emma adjusted her angle so she could see the hall. Nothing there. She wrapped up her class and pretended her heart wasn't trying to beat its way out. When the room emptied, Jenny's phone buzzed. He's on his way, she said. He's bringing someone. Jasper? Emma asked, pulse hitching. And Aiden? Of course. Aiden Reed, the Reed who did magazines and mergers and never smiled in photos. The last person Emma wanted to see her like this. She squared her shoulders anyway. It's been 5 years since she last saw Aiden, since he broke up with her and left her to pick up the pieces of her broken heart. No reason whatsoever. He was the storm that came wrecking her heart, just as she had fallen in love with him. Well, if he was a storm, she could bring an umbrella. The door opened. Jasper Reed entered first. Broad, scarred, steady, the room adjusting around his calm. Beside him came the storm. Taller, a tailored coat that belonged to cities, dark hair, eyes that scanned exits and angles and then landed on Emma like a touch, assessing, unflinching. Emma, Jasper said, nodding with quiet respect. Jenny. Jasper, Jenny breathed, relief and steel. Thanks for coming. Aiden didn't offer a handshake. You're being surveilled, he said, cold and distant, voice rough like it had been sanded. What did she expect? He dumped her like she was a sack of potatoes. Your apartment was breached, he continued. They left a claw mark there and a photo. Emma bristled. Do you always open with condescension, or do you reserve that special trait just for me? One corner of his mouth considered moving. I open with facts. We can argue tone later. Great, she said. I'll pencil that in between panic attacks. Jasper held out a hand. Emma gave him the bagged card and the envelope, because Jasper looked like someone who treated evidence like a language. He studied the claw, and his mouth barely tightened. Black vultures, he said quietly. Aiden's gaze stayed on Emma. You recognize the name? I know what they do, Emma said, and I'm not interested in auditions. Then we agree on the problem, Aiden said. First step is removing you from patterns they've mapped. You can't sleep at your place. You can't be here. Come to the Reed compound. Tonight. I'm not a package you ship to a warehouse, so rich men can decide what's best. Good, he said simply. Packages are easy to steal. The retort jammed in her throat. She hated that she almost laughed. Jasper's voice took the room down a notch. We invite you. We don't order you. Our security's tight. You'll have your own space and code. Aiden stepped closer, but not too close. He smelled like clean winter air and some expensive soap that didn't announce itself. His tie was loosened a fraction, as if restraint annoyed him. Ms. Watkins, he said, and the use of Ms. surprised her. Apparently, he was going to go the we do not know each other route, fine by her. Do you intend to teach tomorrow? He asked. Yes, she replied. Then you need to be alive to do it. The envelope burned in her bag. Her students' shouts still rang in her ears. Fear wanted to script her life. She refused. Tonight, she said. I'll come tonight. If I say I'm leaving, you don't stop me. Wouldn't dream of it, Aiden said. Jasper nodded. We roll in 10. Jenny, you riding with Emma? Like you could stop me. I'll drive the lead car, Jasper told Emma. Aiden will follow and watch for anyone following. You think they'll follow? She asked Aiden. I think they're watching, he said. Emma slung her bag over her shoulder. The straps creaked. She took one long look around the room and followed them out. Nora glanced up. Everything good? Everything good, Emma lied gently. Just running errands. Outside the sky was pewter, breath fogging. Jasper's SUV idled at the curb. 2 rows back, a dark sedan sat with windows too black to be legal. Seatbelts, Jasper said. Aiden peeled off to the second car, sliding an earpiece in with a movement that said he lived in contingencies. He looked across to Emma, expression unreadable. Willow Creek slipped past, the mural on the center's wall with women holding out their hands, the barber pole still turning like time. The golf course turnoff where rich men practiced swings at problems they could buy their way out of. Trees made an archway over the road like ribs. The engine hummed. The stone wall appeared like a horizon. Dark iron gates opened without sound. Inside, buildings unfolded. Glass and stone main house, a low structure that telegraphed gym or range. A guest house that pretended to be modest. Security looked fierce. For the record, Jenny murmured, I am only a little impressed. Jasper parked. Aiden's sedan slid in behind them. Gravel crunched under Emma's boots as she stepped out. Air smelled cleaner here, the kind of air that suggested money filtered it. Aiden didn't crowd her. We'll get you settled, he said. Then we plan. Emma lifted her chin and met his gaze. I'm not here to be sheltered, she said. I'm here to work. To end it. Something like approval flickered. Good. I prefer partners to clients. The word landed between them, small as a pebble and making rings. Jenny bumped her shoulder. I called dibs on the room with the bathtub big enough to read in. You're staying? Emma asked, ridiculous relief loosening her ribs. Try to stop me. They crossed the threshold into warm light. Emma felt the old shape of fear in her chest and then, equally old and newer, the shape of resolve against it. She had been prey, not anymore. She followed the storm down a hall toward whatever came next. The Reed compound was quieter than Emma expected. Jasper led them across the main foyer, past a wall of glass that turned the gray afternoon into a muted painting. Warm light pooled over brushed concrete floors. Soft rugs absorbed footsteps. Somewhere, water talked to itself in a fountain. Somewhere else, a system hummed the way machines hum when they are watching on purpose. Guest wing, Jasper said, turning down a corridor where wood slats cast even shadows. You'll have adjoining rooms. Thanks, Emma said. Keys and codes first, Aiden said. Then briefing and some food. Rules, Emma echoed. Are there flashcards? I can arrange a quiz, he said dryly. The guest wing opened into a sitting area that pretended to be cozy by sheer force of architecture. A long sectional, a low table, shelves with actual books instead of curated props. A woman in her late 50s stood when they entered, smoothing a cardigan with hands that knew work. Short silver hair, laugh lines that hadn't retired. She gave Emma the kind of steady once-over you give someone you intend to treat like family, regardless of protest. "This is Martha," Jasper said. "House manager." Marta's eyes warmed. "Welcome," she said to Emma, and the word didn't feel like it had quotation marks around it. "You must be starving." "I'll have something sent." "I'm fine," Emma lied. Martha looked at her the way wise women look at lies. "Nonsense, I'll get you some soup." Jenny touched her chest. "I'll marry you." "You wouldn't survive my pantry rules," Martha said, smiling. Jasper handed Emma a small device the size of a garage door opener, matte and utilitarian. "Panic fob. Press once for a direct line to my team. Press twice and hold for a silent alarm. It pings your exact location on our map." "Map?" Emma asked. Aiden gestured to a discrete panel set into the wall. He touched it and the glass blinked alive. Rooms, halls, doorways sketched in pale lines. Blue dots slid along corridors, two clustered by the front gate, one moving near what looked like a gym. "We track movement internally and patrol routes externally," Aiden said. "Non-invasive inside the guest suites. You'll have privacy." "How comforting," Emma said lightly, even as something in her unclenched at the sight of the network. "Colors?" "Blue is our team," Jasper said. "Green for household staff. Red only appears if an alert is triggered." "And me?" Emma asked. Aiden's knuckle tapped the glass lightly, zooming until the guest wing glowed like a schematic. "You'll appear as gold." He hit a key on a nearby tablet, then handed it to her. "Your fob assigns you." A small gold dot blinked to life near her hip position. It felt like seeing her name for the first time. "You're sweet," Martha said, opening a door opposite the map panel. The room was warm without luxury shout. Cream walls, a bed big enough to drown a woman's nightmares, throws that looked so soft, a small desk, a nook with a chair that invited blankets and secrets, a bathroom with a deep tub and a shower that might have more nozzles than necessary. There was a vase of eucalyptus on the counter. It smelled minty. Emma set her bag down but didn't let go of the strap. "It's too much." "Nonsense," Martha countered. "I'm sure the boys are happy to have you here." On the bed lay a folded card, "Your code" in block letters. Inside, a 6-digit number and a note. "Change it by pressing and holding down the number sign key at any keypad. Use something you won't forget." Emma traced the 6 digits with her thumb. "I'll change it," she said, more to herself than to anyone else. "I'm next door," Jenny said, already investigating her own suite with the joy of an urban explorer. "If you hear me screaming, it's because the bathtub has jets." Aiden stood in the doorway, hands in his coat pockets. 10 minutes, he said. "Briefing in the sitting area." Emma's muscles tensed at the word briefing. She nodded anyway. 10. When he left with Jasper, Jenny flopped on the bed and stared at the ceiling. "Okay," she said. "This is a lot. Like billionaire witness protection chic." "Don't get comfortable," Emma said. "It's temporary, remember?" Emma sat on the edge of the bed. The room smelled faintly of lavender and good intentions. Her shoulders realized there were no windows along the wall that faced the road and unclenched a degree. She opened her bag. The envelope with the sleeping photo lay too light in her hand. She slid it into the top drawer of the nightstand and shut it. "Hey," Jenny said softer. "How's your knee?" Emma blinked. "My what?" "You banged it in the diner when you slid in," Jenny said. "You're doing your Iron Woman thing, but you're limping a little." "I am not." She stood. Pain tugged. She glared at her own body. "Fine." "A little." Jenny pointed to the bathroom like a commander. "Medicine cabinet." "I saw enough bandages to wrap a mummy." "Pretty sure mummies are more of a linen situation," Emma muttered, but she obeyed. She found antiseptic and a neat stack of bandages, and when she rolled up her jeans, she hissed. A bright scrape glared back at her. She cleaned it, dabbed, pressed, and watched her hands with the detached interest of someone tending a borrowed body. A knock tapped once. It wasn't the brisk knock of a stranger, it was specific, like he'd decided on a rhythm and committed to it. Aiden leaned on the doorframe, coat off now, sleeves rolled, tie loosened another notch. The change made him look less like a corporate storm and more like a man who had built a storm and lived in it. "Briefing in 5, he said, then paused. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing," Emma said. "Let me see," he said, and the words were absurdly gentle for the man wearing them. "I've got it," she started, but he was already crossing the room. He didn't touch her without asking. "May I?" he added, and something in her rewired at the courtesy in the question. She angled her leg toward him. He crouched, strong hands precise as he peeled the bandage's backing. Up close, he smelled like winter and clean cotton and the metallic note she couldn't place. A faint scar cut across the back of his hand like a pale hyphen. "That's thorough," he said, inspecting the scrape as if it had offended him personally. "I teach people to stop bleeding," Emma said. "It's on brand." A flash at his mouth. This one made it to half a smile. He pressed the bandage down, not too hard, gaze flicking up once to meet hers before he stood. For a minute they were too close. Awareness slid through the small air. It wasn't flirtation. Not exactly. It was recognition, of edges, of burdens, of the fact that both had lived too long with control as a life raft. He stepped back first. 5 minutes, he repeated, voice even. After he left, Jenny let out the breath she'd been holding in the bathroom doorway. "Okay, I hate that he's attractive," she said. "It's rude." Emma picked up her sweatshirt as she answered, "He's a lot." "Understatement of the year," Jenny said. She patted the bed. "Come on, warrior. Let's go play nice with the men who have doom maps." The sitting area was covered in lots of food while they were changing. Grilled cheese triangles, soup, apple slices arranged like a flower, and some drinks. Martha had left, but she made sure they didn't starve while she was away. 2 new faces waited with Jasper and Aiden. The first was a man in his 30s with a shaved head, an easy stillness, and forearms that looked like he could climb a building with his fingers. He wore a plain long-sleeve shirt and a look that said he'd walk into a fight and be bored by it. On the map, he was probably the Rafe M. she had seen on the map earlier. The second was a woman in a navy suit, sleek as a blade, dark hair cut sharp at her shoulders, an expression that managed cool and caring at once. "Emma," Jasper said. "Rafe Moreno, ex-ranger, our exterior lead. And Dr. Lila Chen, she's a psychologist who also helps with some of our investigations. She's on retainer for the company and sits in on cases that require the building of psych profiles." "And where would I find the therapist who tells me I'm fine after 3 sessions?" Emma asked. Lila's mouth tilted. "If you find one, run." Rafe nodded at Emma, a gentle acknowledgement. "You did good in the diner," he said. Emma wasn't sure what to do with that praise, so she dove into her soup bowl as she sat across from Aiden. Jenny dropped beside her and helped herself to some apple slices. "Okay," Aiden said, resting his forearms on his knees. 2 tracks, protection and offense. "Protection," Jasper picked up, means new phone numbers, a safe route to work for you next week, even if it's just between here and the community center, and no social posts or check-ins. We'll assign 2 shadows outside the center, visible enough to deter, discreet enough not to spook students. "Offense," Aiden said, "is identifying which branch of the Black Vultures has interest in you, who's running the op in this region, and where they're staging. They don't leave a claw unless they want you to know it, and that's not a good sign." Emma asked, "What do they want?" Rafe tilted his head. "Depends on the branch." Vultures are a franchise model for evil. Same brand, different regional managers, different appetites. Some seduce, some snatch, some blackmail until the door opens. The claw suggests this crew likes ritual, likes women to know they're hunted. Emma put her bowl down before her hand could shake. "Why me?" "We don't know yet," Aiden said. "But we will." "You keep saying we," Emma said. "Define it." Jasper gestured. "Me, Aiden, Rafe, 2 more internal operators, B and Theo, plus a few vetted outside contacts. We'll keep the circle small, fewer leaks." "Leaks?" Jenny repeated. "Vultures plant ears," Rafe said simply. "In stations, in courts, in clubs, in kitchens. We trust who we've bled with." Emma's gaze cut to Aiden. "And you? Who do you trust?" His jaw flexed once, a small tell. "Fewer than I should," he said, not pretending otherwise. "More than I want." Something like understanding moved between them. "Phone," Jasper said, dragging them back to the practical. He slid a small box across to Emma. "New number, encrypted. We'll port your contacts and keep your old phone running on a decoy line that redirects to us. That way, if they ping it, they hit a wall." Emma looked at her old phone on the table. The case nicked where she'd dropped it 100 times. "Fine," she said, "but I want to keep this one on me." "We'll ghost it," Aiden said. "You'll carry it. It'll be a dead end for them." Jenny leaned forward, interest sparking. "What about my phone?" "You will accept the exact same treatment," Jasper said without looking at her, as if this had been negotiated before she opened her mouth. Jenny kicked his shin gently and stole another apple slice. They spent the next 40 minutes walking through routes like choreography, what door Emma would use at the center, where a car would idle, which exit she'd take if someone grabbed an arm, which words she'd say if she needed to trigger a silent response. Rafe spoke in calm beats that made the plan feel like a dance they could actually learn. Lila asked permission before she asked questions and never looked surprised by the answers. Aiden didn't dominate the conversation. He listened like listening was also a weapon. When he weighed in, it was with precisions that had the flat, unshowy ring of necessity. He rubbed a thumb once along the edge of his palm like something there hurt, and either he didn't notice or he didn't care. Finally, Jasper leaned back. "That's enough logistics for one sitting." He looked to Emma. "Questions?" "Two," Emma said. "What happens if I decide this is too much and I want to walk?" "You walk," Aiden said, before anyone else could. "We'll argue for your safety. We won't block your exit." "Good," she said. "And second, do you think the man who followed me is the same one from 3 years ago?" The room suddenly went quiet. Jenny reached under the table and found Emma's knee. "We don't know," Jasper said, "but we'll find out." It wasn't comfort, truth rarely was, but it was something to hold. Martha reappeared with coffee and some pastries. She fixed Aiden with a look as if to say, "Eat," and he did, which startled Emma more than it should. Watching a man like him, who had a ton of people under his command, shrivel at a command from his elderly house manager made her smile inwardly. The meeting came to an end after 2 hours, and Jasper took Rafe to check the outer fence line before the rains came. Lila gave Emma a card and said, "I'm in the East Study if you want to talk or want to sit in a room with someone you don't have to talk to." Then she smiled at Emma and sauntered off. Emma found herself in the hallway with Aiden as the house settled around them. "You don't hover," she said, surprised when she discovered she meant it as a compliment. "I learned with skittish horses," he said. "If you stare long enough, they bolt." It startled a laugh out of her. "You practice that line?" He laughed back. They walked together down the corridor, which opened into a beautiful kitchen with modern steel appliances, marble countertops, which played host to a bowl of limes. A door at the far end opened onto a covered patio. Rain began, delicate and sure. "Your home is lovely," Emma said, fingers skimming the counter's edge. "It feels like a home and a bunker at the same time." "Yeah, Jasper came up with the original idea for the house," Aiden said. "I added the security bits, the unseen side of it, hidden in the soft edges that you can see." "Soft edges are weapons," she said. "People relax around them." He glanced at her, something like approval easing his features. Yes, that was the idea. She caught him flexing his hand once, as if something stitched there pulled. "You're hurt," she said. "It's nothing." "Your hand says otherwise." She reached before she could talk herself out of it, catching his wrist lightly, flipping it palm up the way she did in class when teaching how to control a hand without humiliating the person attached to it. A strip of skin along his palm looked rubbed raw, like he'd met a rope or a blade and decided neither would have the last word. "Minor training injury," he said. "Rafe and I were sparring." "I have Band-Aids," Martha said from absolutely nowhere, materializing with a first aid box. She handed one of the Band-Aids to Emma with unceremonious grace. Men forget they bleed. "You are a menace and a blessing," Aiden told her. I know, Martha said, and vanished again. Emma peeled the wrapper. May I? She asked, echoing his earlier courtesy. He held still while she pressed the Band-Aid to his palm. The room got quiet around the contact. She felt the steadiness in his pulse. When she finished, he flexed again and nodded, as if the small care had repaired something larger than skin. Thank you, he said. You're welcome. She stepped back because any closer and she might forget why she was here. He looked toward the window, rain stepping up its conversation. You said, "What about me?" earlier. I did. My answer is boring, he said. I'm a man who owns a security company, yet failed to keep something safe once. I am trying not to repeat my mistake. What did you fail to keep safe? The question left without permission. He didn't dodge the question. Emma sort of expected him to, someone I was responsible for. Business, not family. I made a call with incomplete intel. People got hurt. That loss is on the ledger. I intend to pay it until the numbers make sense. They don't, she said softly. Not with human loss. He inclined his head as if they'd come to the end of a known road. I don't know about that. The quiet between them shifted, less brittle, not soft. She had the sudden, unsettling thought that she could open herself up to him and he'd keep her secrets safe. She tucked that thought away fast. Wanting a place to lean on didn't mean the place you wanted was load-bearing. Emma, Aiden started, we need to talk about... Will the vultures bridge the perimeter? Emma interrupted. Aiden caught himself quickly. He was about to bring up what happened between them 5 years ago. Perhaps now wasn't the right time. For heaven's sakes, she was being hunted by some crazy people. We can't tell for certain, he replied. They might drive by if they know where you are. They'll ping your phone for sure, probably Jenny's too. They'll wait for a pattern in your movement they can take advantage of. We will present nothing they can use. I promise you that much. Emma looked at the rain, at her reflection faint in the glass, at the woman who refused to be a pattern for predators to study. Good, she said. I'm tired of being readable. A chime sounded somewhere, a single note, neither alarm nor doorbell. Jasper's voice came from Aiden's earpiece, calm and roughened by weather. Package at outer gate, no return address. Aiden's eyes met Emma's. There's the answer to your question, I suppose. Don't be scared, he said. Rafe? Rafe's voice clicked in, drier than the rain. On it. Visual, small box, black, ribbon. Because of course he paused. We'll x-ray. I'll bring it to the war room when we deem it safe. War room? Jenny said from the doorway, hair damp and eyes clear from a good soak. That's interesting. It's a conference room with boards and the usual stuff. You'd typically find in any conference room, Aiden said. They converged on a room off the main corridor where glass walls turned opaque at a touch. Screens lit as Jasper entered with a small team Emma hadn't met. B, a woman with purple hair and tattoos that contradicted her neat blouse. Theo, a quiet man whose entire personality seemed to scream, Mr. Gets Things Done. Rafe came in last, shaking off the rain from his jacket, a tablet under his arm. He threw the x-ray onto the center screen, a rectangular outline, innocuous. Inside, a slim rectangle, a scatter of something that could be paper, a round object that made Emma's stomach pull tight. Not an explosive, Rafe said. Too little metal. That round shape is likely a coin. The long rectangle's a burner phone. Proceed with opening it, Jasper said. Rafe set the black box on the table with careful hands. B gloved up, lifted the lid like she was peeling back skin. Inside lay a cheap flip phone on a bed of shredded black paper, a silver coin stamped with a claw, and a single card the size of the one from Emma's kitchen. B angled the card to the camera. Block letters, stenciled. Thanks for the tour. Emma's mouth went dry. Tour? Aiden hit a key. The main screen split into 4 feed windows, the outer perimeter, the approach road, forest path, and a long lens shot of the street her apartment was on. The timestamp was 10 minutes after they'd left the center. The black sedan she'd marked in her head idled 3 cars back. The view tilted, panned, as if whoever held the camera had stepped forward to peer up at her second-floor windows. A moving shadow crossed the frame where her living room lamp would cast a soft glow when she read late. In the feed, it was dark. "They're telling you they could have followed," Jasper said. "And they're telling us they did." B powered up the burner phone in a sealed box. It buzzed instantly, an incoming call. Aiden looked at Emma. "Your call," he said. She wanted to be brave. She wanted more, to be smart. "Speaker," B said. "Let it ring twice, then answer." Emma did. On the third, she hit accept and flipped the call to the room speakers. Static. Then a voice, smooth, familiar, threaded with the kind of patience that believed patience was foreplay. "Emma," the voice purred, "you left your door unlocked. The coffee mug was an accident. I put it back wrong." Emma's hands went cold. Jenny stepped closer, wanting to comfort her friend. The voice sighed, low. "Your new friends have nice toys, pretty cameras, pretty gates, bulky men. Hope they help you sleep." Rafe's hand hovered near the mute. Aiden shook his head once. "Let it play." "We like it when you're awake," the voice continued. "We get to see all the things you get up to at home. We'll be patient. We're very patient. See you in class." The line cut. Silence. Emma swore she could hear her heartbeat, but she did not look away from the speakers. She couldn't look away. She was frozen, trapped in a nightmare with her playing the lead role. "Okay," she said finally, voice raw and oddly steady. "What next?" Aiden didn't touch her. "We'll do what we do best," he said simply. "We flush them out or we make them expose a piece we can pull. Either way, we end this. I don't want you out of my sight, Emma. I know you are an amazing, independent lady, but these guys are dangerous. We don't know what exactly they are planning to do with you. Jenny, you too. They might want to use you to get to her. I'd be a lot happier if you didn't leave the house." "I wasn't planning to," Jenny said. "Lila?" Jasper said. "I'll set up more cameras around the perimeter and call in some more guys," Lila answered smoothly, anticipating her boss's needs before he even spoke the words. "Aiden," Emma called. "Would someone be outside my bedroom door?" "I know you know what you're doing, and I don't want to impose. You're already doing a lot for me, and I really should thank you, and—" "Done," Aiden said, interrupting her rambling. "Would it be you?" She didn't know if it was a good idea. She only knew that when the house got dark and the quiet got loud, she wanted the storm on the other side of her door, not out in the trees. "Yes, if that makes you more comfortable," Aiden replied. "Tomorrow," Jasper said, "we start our push. Tonight we hold." They broke again, the room releasing them like a breath. Emma stood, one hand flat on the table near the black box, and let the shiver she felt flow through her body. Then she picked up the panic fob and felt the weight in her palm, like a promise she hoped to never need. Outside, the rain had settled into a steady patter. Aiden walked off to confer with Jasper and Rafe by the map wall, voices low but easy. Emma headed for her suite with Jenny in tow. When they reached the door, Jenny squeezed her hand hard. "We're not alone, Emma. You don't have to be scared anymore," Jenny murmured. "I know," Emma said, surprised to find she meant it. Inside the suite, the eucalyptus had thrown more scent into the warm air. Emma changed into more comfortable clothing and laid down to rest. She set the panic fob on the nightstand, looked at it, changed her mind, and clipped it to the waistband of her shorts instead. A soft sound outside her door. Aiden, taking a seat in the hall, perhaps. The thought should have made her tense. It didn't. This man had broken her heart 5 years ago. He cut her deeper than any knife could. Tonight she suspected he was about to bring up what happened with them 5 years ago, but she wasn't sure she was ready to face that issue again. It belonged in the past. It took her a long time to move on. No use dredging up the past. She lay her head back on the pillows. Her eyes burned. Now her brain had time to process all that had happened in the past 24 hours. She began to feel the panic setting in. She breathed in for 4 counts, held for 4, out for 6. Again. Her phone buzzed once. A message from Jasper. "Perimeter quiet. Sleep if you can." She typed, "trying." From Aiden, If you need anything, I'm right outside. She stared at the screen. Now he was available when she needed him? Right. She set the phone face down and closed her eyes. Sleep found her eventually. She drifted, surfaced, drifted again. Once a floorboard sighed and her hand found the fob and eased. Once rain hit a downspout and Aiden's shadow moved under the door, a shift that said awake, alert, here. Emma slept. And for the first time in a long time, she could relax a bit, knowing Aiden was there. Chapter 3. Emma woke up to silence in the room. For a moment, she couldn't recall where she was. Then she felt the panic fob against her hip and remembered. Reed compound. Guest wing. Jenny close by. Aiden had sat outside her door last night. She stretched, testing every muscle. Her phone, burner number, clean case, sat on the nightstand. Jasper had texted at 3. Perimeter steady. Aiden's came later, 4 a.m. Still here, if you need me. Emma wasn't sure what to do with that information, so she ignored it. She dressed quickly. Leggings, long-sleeve top, putting her hair into one single braid, the panic fob clipped back in place. She opened the door and nearly collided with Aiden coming down the hall. Shirt sleeves rolled, no tie, Band-Aid still firm across his palm. You didn't sleep, she said. I don't sleep much. His eyes scanned her quickly, intact, awake, before softening a degree. Martha made some coffee. Please tell me it's stronger than the crap I get from the machine at work. Stronger. Jenny shuffled out of her suite, hair a wild knot. If there are cinnamon rolls, I'm never leaving. Aiden didn't smile, but his silence wasn't cold. Just amused restraint. Breakfast briefing. The kitchen smelled like heaven. Martha moved with the authority of a woman who had commanded armies in a previous life. Coffee so dark it looked like oil-filled mugs before anyone could ask. Plates of toast, fruit, and warm rolls appeared like magic. Eat, Martha commanded. Fear burns calories. You'll need them. Jenny made a noise somewhere between reverence and worship. Again, marry me, Martha. Eat first, Martha said, smiling. Jasper and Rafe entered, shedding rain. Bea and Theo followed, already glued to screens. Aiden set a tablet on the counter. Your tail car from last night, he said, bringing up photos. 3 plate changes. 2 stolen, 1 real. Registered to a charity in Gray Harbor. Treasurer, Thomas Voss. Bea swiveled the screen. He runs 4 more shells. 98% of funds go to consulting. Voss also appears on the books for 2 Pine Ridge clubs. Emma's stomach tightened. We don't spook him yet, Jasper said. We map. We watch his gaze slid to Emma. You've got your noon class? Yes, she said firmly. I'm not canceling. They need me. No one's asking you to stop, Aiden said, calm. We just change how you get there. The note. Martha interrupted the group by laying a folded slip of paper on the counter. Found this at the main entrance this morning. Aiden slid on gloves and opened it. His jaw didn't move, which was enough to make Emma brace. He placed it flat. Block letters. Sweet dreams. A dot of grease smeared the corner. Jenny swore. Rafe was already texting, jaw set. Blind spot at the south fence. We'll fix it. Emma's throat locked. She reached for the panic fob like it was oxygen. Aiden's eyes found hers. Steady. Anchoring. They don't get to define last night, he said. You slept. That's yours. Her chest loosened an inch. She forced toast down and nodded. Bea bagged the note. I'll run the grease later. If it's food-based, I might tell you where they ate. If it's engine, we'll know grade. Aiden nodded. Nothing more could be done at this point. Rafe led Emma outside through the drizzle, walking her through escape routes, where to cross the courtyard without giving a sniper a sightline, how to use glass for reflections, how to look ordinary while staying ready. You balance your weight like a fighter, he observed. I teach self-defense to women. Shows. He gave a rare smile. Seconds matter. You've bought yourself a few. In the gym, he held pads. She hammered them, jab, cross, elbow, until her arms shook and her breath steadied. Then Aiden appeared, silent in the doorway. "Switch?" he asked Rafe. They traded without fuss. Aiden braced the pad. She threw a hook. He caught it perfectly, angle precise. "Your elbow's loose," he said. "Leaves your ribs open." She tucked tighter, irritated to care when his slight nod felt like a medal. On their way back from the gym, a woman in a slate suit intercepted them. Sleek hair, sharp heels, tablet under one arm. "Your inbox is a crime scene, Aiden," she said smoothly. "Because my answer hasn't changed, Paige." She turned to Emma with a polite smile. "Paige Armitage. Communications, I make sure people don't rewrite your story for you." "I'm not a brand," Emma said bluntly. Paige's eyes softened a fraction. "Good. Brands can be stolen. People can't." To Aiden, "Board wants you in New York tomorrow." "I'm not leaving," he said. "Tell them yourself," Paige said, clicking away. By late morning, the team was ready. Bea sat in the front of Jenny's car, juggling several devices. Rafe shadowed them in an SUV. Jasper took lead. Aiden anchored the rear. The route wound deliberately, avoiding easy ambushes. Emma forced her breathing to calm. The panic fob pressed steady against her hip. At the community center, a couple of women greeted her. Nora waved from the desk, eyeliner sharp enough to kill. "Envelope came for you again," she said, sliding it across. Didn't open it. Inside was a heavy card stamped with a silver claw. On the back, T-Vod. A number. Tonight, 9 p.m., Blue Door Lounge. Come alone. Emma's stomach turned to stone. Bea's gloved hand plucked it up instantly, bagging it. He thinks he's clever. Invitation disguised as a command. "I hate this," Emma muttered underneath her breath. Jenny squeezed her shoulder. "I'm so sorry you're going through this, Emma. Can't even imagine what this is doing to you." Emma squeezed her friend's hand, giving her a tired smile. Emma tucked her braid tighter, set her shoulders, and looked at the claw mark one last time before Bea sealed it away. She was done running. If Voss wanted her to step into the dark, she'd bring a storm with her. Chapter 4. By noon, the rain had turned to a fine mist that made Willow Creek look watercolored and tired. Emma stood in the community center's multi-purpose room with the mats unrolled and her heartbeat even, daring the day to be what she needed from it. Manageable, honest, contained within 4 walls. The women came in 2s and 3s, nervous and laughing, tugging ponytails tight and tucking t-shirts into leggings. Nadia, hair in a loose knot and the ring still on a chain. Marisol, with overnight shift eyes and the stubborn set of a nurse who had been told no too many times. Mrs. Patel with a new pair of sneakers that squeaked on the floor. "Ground first," Emma said, clicking into the cadence that steadied her soul. Knees soft, chin tucked, eyes level. If you control your base, you control the fight. They worked. Emma moved among them, tapping elbows in, turning hips, coaxing voices out of throats that had learned to be small. "Say it," she told them. "Loud, no." "No!" Nadia barked, startling herself into a laugh. "There you go." Emma grinned despite the weight of everything that had been happening recently. By the second drill, sweat had loosened the knot under Emma's sternum. Teaching always did that. Took fear and fed it to something useful. Before the start of the next class, Emma's phone buzzed in her pocket. 2 short pulses, Bea's code for all clear. Emma exhaled. Around the door's wired glass, the custodian's cart squeaked past. Rafe's man gave a small casual nod and kept walking. Jenny drifted at the back with a stopwatch and a smile, stepping in only to demonstrate the elbow break when Emma needed a second pair of hands. They had done this dance 100 times. The comfort of knowing her friend was always there whenever she needed her made Emma's eyes sting. "Beautiful," Emma told the class at the end, when 8 women stood pink-cheeked and exhausted. "You did well today, ladies." They laughed and cheered and promised each other rides home, trading babysitter numbers and recipes on their way out. The room emptied in a rustling, laughing wave. Emma rolled mats and pretended the tremor in her hands was only from exertion. Nora at the desk hooked a thumb toward the board. "Another envelope came for you," she said under her breath. Same lady dropped it. Emma's shoulders went tight. She lifted the envelope with 2 fingers, careful. Black card embossed with a claw. On the back, block letters. Come alone. Jenny swore softly. Bee's gloved hand appeared from nowhere, sliding the card into a bag. Emma slid the strap of her bag higher on her shoulder and made herself breathe. They want to isolate me, she said. Saying it out loud made it less monstrous. We won't let them, Bee replied, looking Emma dead in the eye. Never, Jenny said, firm as bedrock. Outside, the convoy waited exactly where it was supposed to be. Jasper leaned on the SUV's fender, waiting for the ladies. Aiden remained in the tail car. They rode back to the Reeds' compound together. Back at the compound, the war room lit like a stage. Bee threw Blue Door up on 3 screens, front entrance with its velvet rope, alley with its dented dumpster and habitually propped door, mezzanine feed stolen from an internal camera. A floor plan glowed in clean lines. Theo flicked a text. In. His maintenance badge had already been printed. We don't let them set tempo, Jasper said. Emma enters like she belongs. If Voss shows, we don't swing yet. We map. We identify who else he is working with. Lila set a small clear box on the table. Bone conduction earpieces and micro mics. No ear occlusion, Emma. You'll hear us without losing the room, she said, fitting the loop over Emma's ear with gentle fingers. If the noise gets too loud, say quiet and I'll narrow the channel. Clutch, Bee said, flipping a small bag to Emma. Lip balm, hair tie, spare fob with a 1-push function. It'll fry every comm in a 20-foot radius for 3 seconds. Use if you're getting swarmed. Martha entered with a garment bag and a plastic box of pins that looked like ammunition. Armor, she announced, unzipping to reveal a black dress with clean lines and a high neckline that said, professional, not, please look, ankle boots with enough sole to run. Aiden said to get this for you. Emma showered quick, heat pulling the edge off nerves, then slid into the dress. It fit like a glove. She left her hair down to hide the comm wire. Martha had stitched a tiny pocket into the inside seam. The panic fob slid there and vanished, exactly where Emma's hand could find it. Aiden waited in the foyer, sharply suited, clean jawline. He didn't stare. He took inventory and nodded once at her. Remember the rules, Jasper said, glancing at the map and his watch in the same motion. Emma sets the pace. If anyone lays a hand on her without permission, she says now, we end it. Preferably not with bodies on the floor, Paige said from the hall, phone to her ear, voice bland in a way that meant she was telling a powerful man no. Really? Try not to, Paige repeated. They rolled out into a wet dusk that turned the world reflective. Pine Ridge's club strip blinked neon into puddles. Blue Door stood in the dark with a matte blue brick, a single arched entry, and a line of people waiting to get in. At the rope, the bouncer's stance altered the second a server murmured, Voss. The velvet unhooked immediately. House special, the server said, eyes flicking down to Emma's boots. On the house. Inside, the bar glowed a luminous marine. Bottles rose like stained glass. A mezzanine floated above, the blue room door a rectangle of discretion at the far end. Handler at 11, Bee murmured without turning her head, eyelashes weaponized. Emma moved, slow orbit. She let herself be looked at without letting anyone hold her. She mapped exit signs. 2 bottles comped upstairs under Kavanaugh, Bee said. Voss's pet alias. Got that, Jasper replied. The mezzanine traded dance floor heat for money's cold. The blue room guard looked bored enough to be dangerous. One of Voss's men approached Emma. Average height, average hair. Ms. Watkins, he said, stopping exactly 1 polite step away. Mr. Voss would like to apologize for his associate's enthusiasm. Is that what we're calling it? Emma asked. Enthusiasm? He prefers to apologize in private, the handler said, palm angling toward the blue room door. I prefer witnesses, Emma said. Men who apologize in dark rooms usually mean to skip the apology. His eyes thinned and then smoothed. Mr. Voss values discretion. Then he can send flowers, Emma said. Bee hummed, pleased. He just texted someone named R. Take her friend to the bar. R is moving. He knows Jenny is here. Look out for the dude at your 4 o'clock, Jenny. Jenny's smile appeared. Bless his overconfidence. Emma set her hand on the rail to leave. Voss's man lifted his palm casually to stop her. Ms. Watkins? Now, she said, low. Everything that mattered moved. Jasper's posture quietly blocked the top stair. Theo took a half step that forced the board guard to adjust. Rafe's voice came through over the earbuds. Alley clear, kitchen exit. The blue room door opened a fraction. A man slid half into the light. Middle height, hair sleeked back. A ring flashed, the claw carved into silver, and for a minute Emma forgot how to breathe. Emma, Voss said, voice reasonable as a contract. Let's remedy this with conversation. Emma let anger settle and then she spoke. Conversation involves questions, she said. Here's mine. How many women did that claw mark before me? Voss's man's polite smile hardened. Voss's expression thinned. Bring her, Voss said, flicking 2 fingers. Aiden appeared suddenly. Enough, he said, not loud. Club security took 2 steps in their direction. Jasper showed them something for half a second, and their bodies decided nope, not tonight. B's voice carried dark delight. Guard just called someone and said the younger brother showed. He's rattled. Voss looked past his man to measure Aiden, irritation not quite hidden at the re-ranking of the room. Mr. Reed, he said smooth, you could have called. I prefer to meet men where they're comfortable, Aiden said. More honest reactions. Honesty is overrated, Voss said lightly. Safety isn't, Aiden replied. Emma walks out. You don't follow. Got that? Voss's eyes slid back to Emma with that patience particular to men who think time will do their work for them. You've made friends with the Reeds, I see. He smiled thinly and shut the blue room door. Walk, Jasper said, appearing behind Emma. They moved in a formation, with room for Emma to steer, Jenny at her shoulder, Theo a quiet shadow, Aiden a pace ahead, B a voice in her ear, Rafe clearing the alley behind. Down the stairs, past the marine-lit bar, through the arched door into a street slick with neon lights, they moved. 5 feet from the curb, breath touched Emma's ear. Pretty and gray, a voice whispered, close enough to be a memory or a man. The body slipped away, gone. Emma's world narrowed to a pinprick and then opened because she made it. Left, she said, pointing. Rafe peeled down the sidewalk with purpose. B cursed softly. Rafe, he's got a hoodie, cap, black jacket. Shit, Rafe cursed. Half the people on the street look like him. I lost him. Visual? Aiden asked, eyes calm, lethal. Negative, B said. Impatient men make mistakes, Rafe said, breath heavy from chasing the suspect. They got back into their cars, and the convoy slid into traffic. Emma sat with her hands flat on her knees, trying to control her breathing. Back at the compound, the gates opened. Martha met them at the entryway with hot mugs. Are you okay? Aiden asked Emma after they had settled in. No, Emma said. Just angry. I don't know why I am being targeted. I don't know how many people are targeting me. Is it the one guy sending different people to do his bidding, or are they 2, perhaps 3 different people? I just want to get back to my old boring life, she cried, the weight of the situation crashing down on her. Aiden walked towards her, offering his shoulders as comfort. She leaned into him, and for the first time she really cried. Aiden held her, comforting her. No words needed to be said. This was hard for her, damn. Even he was getting frustrated with his inability to protect her. Guys, B said, sliding into a chair, fingers a blur over keys. Theo's got something. Theo's thumbs danced across his phone. Bouncer's cousin says a new bartender started last week. Name Rhea, cash under the table. She's scared of a man named Arlo, who always hangs around smoking beside the dumpster. Rafe's eyes sharpened. Arlo could be our overconfident haircut? Picture incoming, Theo said. A photo appeared on the big screen. A man in his mid-30s with a fade, a hunched-over posture appeared. A scar shaped like a comma sat on his face. Not one of Voss's close men. A lieutenant, maybe. B overlaid him with a capture from a different camera. We have placed him at this location 3 nights last week, texting outside the alley door. Jasper rubbed a knuckle along his jaw. He's probably a runner for Voss's drugs. I vote we pick him up before he has a chance to disappear. Tomorrow, please, Emma said, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. Let's pick him up tomorrow. Tomorrow, Jasper agreed. We start with Arlo. Don't worry, Emma. Voss is getting sloppier. We'll get him. Emma looked at the burner phone still sealed in its box from last night, at the grease-marked note that said sweet dreams, at the map overlay glowing like a net. A slow, fierce satisfaction unwound in her chest. Good, she said. Aiden didn't touch her. He didn't need to. We'll get them, Emma. That's a promise. You've promised that twice today, she said, looking up at him from her perch on the 2-seater sofa. He held her gaze. And I mean it. Like you meant it the last time you told me you loved me and then broke my heart 3 days later, Aiden?
Aiden was shocked. He didn't see that coming. Did he deserve that blow from her? Yes, he sure did. He staggered under the weight of her words, like she'd aimed straight for the part of him that still hadn't healed. He had known this moment would come. He knew she'd never forget the way he'd walked out after confessing love. His heart clenched, because she was right. He had broken her. But she didn't know the whole of it. He hadn't left because his feelings were false. He'd left because he had no choice. The government had pulled him into an undercover mission so deep, he couldn't risk her being even remotely tied to him. One careless text, one photo of them together, could have put her in the crosshairs of men who wouldn't have hesitated to use her to break him. He hadn't known how long he'd be gone. Days, months, maybe forever. And the only way to keep her safe was to sever every thread between them. It had been the hardest order he'd ever followed, and he'd lived with the guilt of it every day since. But hearing the crack in her voice now, seeing the betrayal written across her face, he realized that all his justifications hadn't lessened the damage. To her, it hadn't been duty. It had been abandonment. Shit. He needed to fix this.
Emma got up and left for her room. She stood in the center of it and let herself feel both things at once, rage and relief. She had walked into the club with her chin up and her storm at her shoulder, and walked out, safe. The same one who had broken her heart to pieces. At least he brought her back in one piece today. That should count for something, right? She turned on the lamp on her bedside table as she prepared to settle for the night. Outside her door, a chair shifted. She pictured Aiden sitting, or Rafe taking a turn. Her phone buzzed once. Aiden had texted, "I'm out here if you need me." Sleep came not as an enemy, but as a tide, slow and inevitable. If the dark brought whispers, she had answers now. She had support, she had a team. She had the storm himself, or did she?